Alrighty. Are we all ready for the great debate? This is a pinnacle part of the Perth Web Accessibility Conference, and hopefully we can make it part of OZeWAI as well, where we have it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek debate. It's not a serious one. These aren't Oxford scholars. So the one thing I do need to tell you is you may hear people you know saying things and taking a particular argument that you know that they do not believe in any way, shape or form, which generally makes the debate extremely entertaining. The topic for this year is emerging technology makes web accessibility redundant. Okay, now just be aware, Scott pointed out if they're successful, it means OZeWAI will no longer exist and you won't be meeting here next year, all right? So there's some important stuff with this. We have the usual state with the debate. We have the affirmative side, which are on my right, your left, starting with Dr. Scott Hollier. Oh yes, give a hoot and holler as I read them out. Dr. Scott Hollier, Matt Putland, Amanda Mace. They will be arguing that emerging technology will make web accessibility redundant. And the negative side on my left, your right, starting with Julie Grundy, Dinesh Bora, and Chris Layton. He'll be taking the argument that emerging technology will not make web accessibility redundant. Everyone has 3 minutes to talk, at which point they will hear my favourite little tune, which is this, if it plays. And with 30 seconds to spare, I will make some sort of disgruntled noise into this microphone, which should be fairly obvious to them. But the important thing is, you guys get to vote, okay? You get to choose the history, what's going to happen with OZeWAI. It's all up to you, right? But it's important, this is the accessibility conference, which means we have to do accessible voting. Now, for those of you that have been involved in the debate last year, you'll know how we do this. Okay, typically with audiences, if there's anyone with a hearing impairment, they're not going to hear you clap. So you have to wave your hands in the air. So let's practice that. Wave your hands in the air. Right, which is pretty useless if the person has a vision impairment. So you have to stomp your feet. Right, now you've all had some sugar and coffee. Do both at the same time. 1, 2, 3, now. And holler as well. Fantastic, we've got this together. So, emerging technology, Siri, OK Google, Cortana. We've all seen and heard about their emergence, but what can't you control by voice? Our arguments today are going to be looking at how far has this technology gone? Is it actually going to make web accessibility redundant? The first speaker for the affirmative, that emerging technology will make web accessibility redundant, is Dr. Scott Hollier.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And on behalf of my team, I would certainly like to state that emerging technology will make web accessibility redundant. I can psychically predict that the iPad that's released next year will have accessibility features in it, as will Windows laptops, as will Macs. We know that accessibility has evolved to a point now where new technology just simply includes accessibility. We know it for Windows, we know it for Mac, we know it for Samsung, assuming it doesn't catch fire or you pull off a protective sleeve and the whole device falls apart. But before it does, before you do have that Galaxy Fold that crumbles in your hand, we know it will be accessible for the short time you can use it. It's really good to see at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas last month that we now have the ability to control things with our mind. I'll be explaining a bit about this tomorrow in my presentation. Next Mind is the ability to move around virtual and augmented reality environments, and simply being able to control things, play games with your mind. So look, I think it's pretty clear that if we control things with our mind, huge accessibility potential, and to see emerging tech like that, I think the days of web accessibility are certainly numbered. But look, at the end of the day, if you don't want to take my word for it, we can look to W3C. W3C are actively moving away from the web content accessibility guidelines and the authoring tool accessibility guidelines and the user agent accessibility guidelines, instead looking to bundle it all together as an accessibility guideline standard. So look, if W3C are doing it, then clearly they know that just focusing on web accessibility is a bit old hat these days. So look, I think that's a pretty convincing argument. It's a shame that the other team have to speak because I don't think they've got a chance. But I would just like to say the only thing that's not redundant is the fantastic words about to come out of my colleagues here in my team. Thanks very much, everyone.
Awesome indeed, Dr. Scott Holly. I think you need to find another PhD. Now, for the first speaker for the negative team, arguing that emerging technology will not make web accessibility redundant, Julie Grundy.
Hey everyone! Woo-hoo! Oh, cheer myself. One of the things that I really like and admire about Scott is his optimism. I'm going to say though that today it may be a little bit misplaced. Self-driving cars are cool, but just this week we had the headline, Tesla remotely removes autopilot features from used Model S after it was sold. You're renting accessibility from emerging technology. You don't get to keep it. The people in charge can just take it away whenever they like. You've also got the time that Amazon had to patch a bug that was causing Alexa to laugh creepily at random times. The kind of code that goes into software is not the kind of code I want to trust. You've got to also look at the business models behind emerging technology. Do you think that Google is giving away so many free Google Home Minis? Do you think they're giving them away free out of the goodness of their heart? No. As if. They're giving them away to widen their surveillance network. You are paying for this accessibility with your privacy. Let's see what else. At the other end of the scale, from the dangerous to the ridiculous, other emerging technology, such as Juicero, the internet-enabled juicing machine, which I have a list here. You could program it with an app, because of course you want to do that with your juice machine. You couldn't just buy fruit and put it into the juice machine. You had to subscribe to receive fruit pouches. The first I heard of this delightful emerging technology was when a guy complained that his Wi-Fi was down, so he couldn't have his morning juice. Shortly after that, people decided to cut open these fruit pouches and discovered that they were in fact mostly juice already. These are the Silicon Valley heroes that we are entrusting with our accessibility. These start-up, bro-down kind of guys, they look up to people like Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who once spent a weekend tweeting about his revolutionary successor to the Tesla, the Hyperloop. After he tweeted out the details and people questioned him thoroughly about this, it turns out that his amazing invention was, more or less, trains. But smaller, so you can't fit as many more people in, and it's less efficient, and for some reason, more expensive. Alexa might have had voice recognition for a while now, okay? But the web is catching up. We have speech API. We have authentication API. When you use the web, you can wait and see if some new technology is actually worth having or just going to turn your device into an expensive paperweight. And this is the real reason that emerging technology will never make web accessibility obsolete.
Thank you, Julie.
You will never know.
What are you doing, Matt? Sit down. Just listen to my emerging technology. You're getting way too excited. I think Matt wants some more sugar. Thank you very much, Julie. I'm going to go sell my Tesla now. The second speaker for the affirmative, emerging technology will make web accessibility redundant. He's so passionate he got up before the other speaker had finished. Matt Putlin.
Thank you. So on to the more important and relevant theme for this discussion. I want to talk about that emerging tech is so powerful that it's not only going to make web accessibility redundant, it'll also make our jobs completely redundant, and it'll also even make, dare I say, websites completely redundant altogether. Yes, that's right. Goodbye, Perth Web Accessibility Camp. Goodbye, OZeWAI. We are not having it again next year. Indeed. In fact, something is coming. And in fact, it may already be here. And that thing, that doom, is accessibility overlays. Yes, that's right. If you don't know what an accessibility overlay is, let me fill you in. It is a bit of code that you can put into your website, and within about 24 hours, it's accessible. Just like that, big bam boom, accessible website. That is the power of emerging technology. I have some quotes from the Accessibility website, which is a very popular accessibility overlay. It's going to take all our jobs. It says, get an automatic 96% success rate. Get your website accessible in 48 hours. Don't bother waiting weeks for an audit. Compliance with WCAG 2.1, ADA, Section 508, AODA, EN 301549, and IS 5568. I don't even know what some of them are. Rechecking every 24 hours. Who cares about rechecks? Just get it done every 24 hours using our tool. And guess what? Screw paying thousands of dollars for an audit. Screw paying $1,000 for a consultant like me. Just pay $409 a year, not thousands. Amazing. Hail to our accessibility overlay overlords. In all reality though, these tools do make use of AI. And that is artificial intelligence being able to actually interpret what is there on the website and convert it into a more accessible format. People have talked about the possibility of smart screen readers, which is instead of looking at the code of a website, instead of say a form where you got labels and form fields, instead of looking at the code there, it just looks at what's visually there. It identifies a label, it identifies a form field, and then it creates an accessible version on the fly as you're going through the website.
Matt.
So you pretty much don't need to worry about web accessibility. As long as you have it visually down, then you don't need to worry about the code, don't need to worry about anything like that. This tool, this smart screen reader, will just convert it into an accessible format that is applicable for you, not just for blind, but also different kinds of disabilities as well. Thank you so much.
All right, Matt's just done himself out of a job. The next speaker for the negative is the most fantastic speaker you're going to come across for this debate. He's a stunning speaker. He knows his stuff. He just happens to be my manager. Please welcome
Thank you.
the second
really
speaker
helps.
for the negative, Dinesh Bura.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm going to take a very strategic approach here. I'm going to talk about technology. Technology without accessibility is like a cart without a horse, right? So let's look at epic technology fails in the last few decades. Dr. Scott, you mentioned about Galaxy 7. If you want a plane to crash, you probably want to give that to some of your friends who are going to fly back. That's a massive technology fail. Yahoo hack, 3 billion accounts, 3 million passwords hacked. Is technology safe? I don't believe so, and I don't think we can use technology to make things accessible for us at all. Let's look at a few more examples. The MH370 mystery. We still haven't been able to find this blooming 777 that's sitting somewhere in the ocean with all the technology available, let alone making things accessible. Massive fail there. What about the Boeing out-of-control autopilot? Brought down the brand new Lion Air flight MAX 737. Now, after this, my discussion, you might find it really difficult to fly back home. I'm sorry about that, but again, we don't want to trust technology. Boeing estimated the cost as $19 billion. Massive fail in technology. I'm sorry. What about some IT software projects? Let me talk about a German pro basketball team that got relegated to B division just because their laptop decided to reboot in the middle of a game. And it took them more than 15 minutes for the laptop to come up, and let alone accessibility, they didn't have any technology at all. So I don't know, where we are going to go from there. $2 billion air traffic control system failed due to insufficient memory in the system. Again, let me carry on. There's many examples, and by the end of this, you will know why you can't have technology without accessibility, right? The Queensland Health new payroll system, $1.5 billion fail. They had to get 1,000 employees to do manual entry over 5 years to get it fixed, right? Again, a massive technology fail. So, my friends, if I haven't convinced you, what about the Ariane 5 rocket that was launched to take 2 3-ton satellites into orbit? After 40 seconds, it exploded, smothering pieces into million pieces.
Boom, 30 seconds.
Okay, so look, many of you, as I said, are from the eastern states. I'm really sorry to bring about, airplanes and flights and all the flight tricks that you will have. But again, that's reality. Unfortunately, that's reality. Look, I have got a little device that lets me, turn on my, lights. The other day I said, Google, turn on the lights. My garage door came down. Do I trust technology? I don't think so. So good luck, guys. Keep dreaming, and please vote for the rebuttal team. Thank you very much.
I guess this means I'm not getting that laptop then. Now, the last speaker for the affirmative, that emerging technology will make web accessibility redundant, did come up to me at the start of the conference and says, I've almost lost my voice. Please have pity on me in the debate. I say, no. Argue your case, Amanda Mace.
Now, I just want to start with websites are so 2019. I mean, really, they're gone the way of neon suspenders and the big hair of the 80s. Who needs web accessibility when you have Google Assistant and Siri and Alexa to tell us anything and everything? And I love how the negative team pretends they're not using the technology we all rely on every day. We have apps. You're not using apps? AI, VR, AR, lots of cool two-letter acronyms. My mobile settings have so many features, it will take me until 2050 to figure them all out. Users have complete control with their devices and operating systems. Dark mode, high contrast, enlarge, volume adjust, voice technology. It can change the look, feel, and functionality already. Just imagine what it can do in years to come. Who needs to worry about easy to understand English when we have software changing words to symbols and symbols to words? Let the designer put that lime green and lemon yellow on their white backgrounds. Okay, no, I can't say that. I'm sorry. I take it back. I can't do that. Software will fix everything. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Clearly, emerging tech is making web accessibility redundant. With the release of every new fix-it-all software hardware, barriers are disappearing completely. Have you ever thought about what cool tech is up and coming? The barriers are being smashed through with it. 3D sensing cameras, light cargo delivery drones, flying autonomous vehicles, autonomous driving. We have advances in biotech, nanoscale 3D printing, adaptive machine learning. It's all very exciting, and in fact, the sky's the limit. I don't know what could go wrong.
Well done, Amanda. And I do like the fact that you were stressing the point by using paper. Well done. All right. The last speaker for the negative team, arguing that emerging technology will not make web accessibility redundant. Be warned, it's Chris Layton.
Thank you, David. Good people of Victoria Park. Scott's psychic abilities and Matt's acronym overlay will not save the affirmative team. Did you notice their body language? Hear the quavers in their voices? Choice of language, the fear in their eyes. From the School of Interpreting Body Language, these are easily understood cues proving that our opposites themselves do not believe in their stated position. We, the team working for you and your loved ones, future rights in web accessibility refute the preposterous notion that Elon's car in outer space will ensure that your Solaris operating system running Netscape 1 will know if click here will open a PDF or open a fridge. Pish posh. When asked to vote for the affirmative, it is entirely okay for your response to be stony, pin-drop silence and still hands. Although confused and discombobulated right now, the opposing team comprises of mercenary, toughened web professionals. They will be okay. They, in their heart of hearts, understand that your vote today is too important to spend unwisely on their position. They, like this team, agree that thunderous shouts and wildly waving hands for the negative is the only possible way that you can vote today. Dear audience, Siris, Google Assistants, Cortanas and alike are listening right now in your pockets and bags. They're always listening. Hey, Google. It didn't work. I was hoping it would. The algorithms from Cupertino and the server farms in the Irish Sea will determine the future of web accessibility. If you vote for them, the algorithms will make it happen, and we are all doomed. Let's take a moment for that to sink in. You will sway the future of web accessibility on planet Earth. Vote for we, the last bastion of sensibility, your web accessibility champions, and your only safe option. Our future is in your hands.
Where's some globbish when you need some? Alrighty, it's up to you guys. Now the audience, you are going to determine the destiny of OZeWAI for 2021. Will it be the affirmative side or the negative? So we'll do it in such a manner. Remember how I said to vote? To wave the hands, to stamp the feet and holler like mad if you agree with the affirmative team. I don't think I need to do the other one. What about the negative? Sorry for the guide dogs in the office. Excellent. It sounds like OZeWAI is safe. See you next year, and thank you for participating.